The Millionaire's Maid. One act that changed everything. Before we start the story, leave a comment telling us which city you're watching from. Enjoy the story. Ryan Taylor lived in a tall, shiny building in Seattle. He was rich, smart, and ran a big investment company. His house had everything: an indoor pool, a gym, and a kitchen that looked over the water. But it felt empty, cold, quiet. 8 months ago, his wife Mia died in a car accident. Since then, everything had changed. His son, Oliver, used to be loud and full of energy. Now, he didn't talk much. His daughter, Sophie, always smiled and laughed. Now, she barely ate and often cried when no one was looking. Ryan didn't know how to help them. So, he did what he knew: he spent money. He hired top therapists, paid for expensive nannies, filled the playroom with new toys and video games, ordered meals from the best restaurants in the city. He even brought in a piano teacher, though no one touched the dusty piano Mia used to play. But nothing worked. Oliver stayed quiet. Sophie got thinner. The house, even with all its beauty, felt like a museum full of things, but no life. Ryan made one big rule: no one talks about Mom. The therapist followed it. The nannies followed it. Even the kids tried to follow it. Talking about Mia was too painful, so everyone stayed silent. One morning, a cleaning lady named Lena Walker came to the house. She wore old shoes, carried a mop, and didn't say much. Ryan barely looked at her. "Just clean the kitchen, change the sheets, and don't get in the way," he said. What Ryan didn't know was that Lena used to be a schoolteacher. She had raised 3 kids on her own. Life had been hard, but she never lost her gentle heart. As Lena cleaned, she noticed things others didn't: toys that weren't opened, a little girl clinging to a worn-out stuffed animal, a boy staring at nothing. She saw dust on the piano and no smell coming from the kitchen. It was too clean, too quiet. Then Lena found a small notebook hidden behind a box. It was Mia's recipe book, full of handwritten notes and little hearts. There was even a photo of Mia and the kids baking together, their faces full of joy. Lena closed the book softly. She knew this house didn't need more toys or more silence. It needed to remember. One afternoon, Lena heard soft crying from under the kitchen table. It was Sophie. Her favorite stuffed bunny was in her arms. Beside her was a pretty cupcake in a fancy box, but she hadn't touched it. "It doesn't smell like Mom's," she whispered. Lena sat down on the floor, close but not too close. "What did your mom's cake smell like?" she asked gently. Sophie blinked through her tears. "Like chocolate, like warm hugs. Mom let me lick the spoon. We made smiley faces with whipped cream." That's when Oliver peeked from the hallway. He had heard everything but said nothing. Lena looked at him and smiled kindly. "Did you help your mom bake too?" He looked down. "I rolled chocolate balls, but I always ate some when she wasn't looking." A small smile appeared on his face. It was the first in months. But just then, the nanny walked in. "Sophie, you shouldn't talk to the cleaning lady. Mr. Taylor doesn't want that." Sophie shrunk back, but Lena didn't argue. She just stood and picked up a dish towel. Quiet, steady. She didn't need power to make a difference. She just needed to stay present. That night, Sophie whispered to her, "Can we make Mom's cake tomorrow?" "Not her cake," Lena said, "but a new one. One she'd be proud of." The next day, Lena brought eggs, flour, butter, and cocoa. Sophie cracked the eggs. There were messes, bits of shell in the bowl, flour on the counter, but there was also laughter. Soon, the warm smell of chocolate filled the kitchen. It was the first time in months the house smelled like love. The nanny was upset. "You're not allowed to cook! This breaks house rules!" But when Ryan came home and smelled the cake, he paused. Sophie ran to him. "Dad, we made a cake just like Mom's." Oliver smiled too. There was flour on his face and joy in his eyes. Ryan didn't say a word. He broke off a piece of cake. It wasn't perfect, but it tasted like home. For the first time, he felt something other than pain. The next morning, Ryan asked Lena to sit with him. "I saw what you did yesterday," he said. "Thank you." Lena nodded. "The kids don't need to forget Mia. They need to remember her the right way." Ryan paused. "Would you stay? Not just clean, but help us heal?" Lena looked down. "I'd like to, but people talk when someone like me becomes too close to a family like yours." "I don't care what they say," Ryan said. "I care about what my kids need." So Lena stayed, not as a cleaner but as someone who brought warmth. They started baking every Sunday using Mia's recipes. They made a gratitude jar. Every night, Oliver and Sophie wrote one thing they were thankful for. Ryan cut back on work. He drove his kids to school. He started playing the piano again. Mia's songs filled the house. Sophie told her teacher, "I have 2 moms now. One in heaven. One who bakes with me." The teacher smiled gently. One night, Ryan gave Lena a letter. It was a job offer to run a new family program for his company. Full salary, full respect, and a home for her and her 3 kids. Lena was quiet for a moment. "I don't want people to think I'm here for money." "You gave me my children back," Ryan said. "This is not charity. This is thanks." With Lena's help, Ryan opened a small learning center called Heart House. It wasn't a normal school. There was a kitchen with child-safe stoves, a piano corner, a storytelling corner, and of course, a gratitude jar. Parents and children cooked together. They shared memories. They laughed and cried together. Some people didn't like it. Too soft, they said. Too different. But families loved it. One little girl said, "This place smells like my grandma's cookies." Her mom cried and hugged her. Soon, more centers opened. Lena trained new teachers, not just in reading or math, but in kindness, in presence, in listening. "Kids don't need to be distracted from sadness," she said. "They need a safe place to feel it." Oliver helped teach baking classes. Sophie became the youngest storyteller. Lena stayed behind the scenes braiding hair, wiping flour off noses, and keeping the heart of the kitchen alive. Years passed. The family grew strong. Oliver wanted to be a chef. He started teaching kids in low-income neighborhoods. Sophie wanted to be a teacher like Lena. Lena's own children came to live with them. The big house no longer felt cold. It was full of voices, smells, and love. Every Thursday, they still shared what they were thankful for. The jar was full of notes like, "Thank you, Mom, for letting me lick the spoon. Thank you, Lena, for teaching me to remember." One night, as music played and the kitchen smelled like apple pie, Sophie whispered to Mia's photo, "I'm okay now. I still miss you. But Mom, Lena helped me remember you without crying." Ryan stood in the doorway, tears in his eyes, not from pain but from peace. They didn't need a perfect life. They just needed the smell of home. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed,